And welcome to...
And welcome.
Man, I'm out of practice. It's been 2 weeks.
Oh, my Lord.
Welcome to AT Banter, the podcast where we discuss anything and everything regarding the world of assistive technology. With our hosts, Steve Barkley, Rob Minot, and Ryan Fleury. Now, let's banter.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of AT Banter.
Wait.
What?
New episode of year 2.
Yes.
First episode of year 2.
This is it.
Woohoo!
Anyone got a bottle of champagne that we can smash against the wall?
No, but I got a beer open here. So.
Well, that worked. Perfect. Year 2 is now christened.
Excellent.
Sorry, was I not supposed to pour it on the microphone?
Yeah.
Oh, I got others.
All
That's
right.
fine.
So the anniversary show, that went well.
Did we get a lot of listens?
Yeah,
Good.
we did.
Excellent.
We did, and virtually no hate mail. So I guess we did something right, or at least we did something that wasn't terribly offensive.
Not completely wrong. Let's go with not completely wrong.
Yes. So it's back to our usual programming this week. Fear not, no tequila in the room.
You want tequila?
No.
I can go up and get it.
No, I don't want tequila.
Bring it.
No.
Bring it down.
We know what happened last time.
I got to drive Rob home.
We'll save it for the Christmas show.
Well, what would be the next special show? I guess that would be the next special show would be Christmas.
Well, we could do a Thanksgiving show.
We could do
Yeah.
Father's Day.
Yeah.
That's next
Sure.
week.
Yeah.
You guys just looking for an excuse to break that tequila out.
Is that wrong?
Why wait?
What do we got? Do we got any news that's happened in the past week that we want to talk about? Didn't we get an email, Ryan?
We did get an email from David Goldfield, who is a listener of Mushroom FM, which is an internet radio station. And he was listening to a program by Jonathan Mosen, who we had on our AT Banter podcast.
Yes, that's right.
So shout out to David.
Woohoo.
Hey, David.
This is what you get when you Twitter bomb somebody else's
That's right.
podcast. Mention me. Come on.
I didn't say
Jonathan,
that. Wasn't that blunt.
Well,
36 tweets later. Oh, God damn it. It's the only way we're going to shut this guy up.
That's right.
fine, Ryan.
How do I mute him? Mute him.
See, we need to start Twitter bombing like the Ellen Show or something. Get our numbers really up.
Oh, there you go.
We could.
Get on that, Ryan. Next week.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll
We
fly
want
us down
Ellen-
to be on the show.
Yeah, we'll all have to dance. That'd be awful.
Wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah.
Isn't it? Is she quitting? Is that?
Not that I've heard.
I thought I heard. No.
No.
No idea.
I don't know. For someone being unemployed, I'm surprisingly out of the loop when it comes to pop culture news.
I was thinking the other day, reflecting on that. Can you believe it's been 4 months
Since what?
we've been unemployed?
Oh, don't remind me.
That's crazy.
Where'd the time go?
I don't know.
I don't know, because I don't feel any more relaxed.
Nor do I.
I mean, that's real irony. I mean, anything else noteworthy happen that you caught in the news?
I saw on ACB's website that Amazon Instant Video now has audio description for the blind if you're a Prime subscriber.
Oh, really?
So that's exciting.
Yeah, because you are a Prime subscriber, are you not?
I am, yeah. So as soon as I heard the news, I tried the app on my phone and was able to turn on the audio description, and it worked.
And are there a lot of shows that are being described?
There's 127, I think, right now. And that's, I think, 10 TV series, and then the rest are movies.
Huh.
But that'll just continue to grow, just like Netflix did.
Sure. Excellent.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
So now it's not just Pornhub.
That's right.
We've
See,
got
so now everyone can waste their time watching a variety of different shows.
exactly. One of the ones that is described I saw was, I think, one Steve's watched, American Gods.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Pornhub.
No. So I want to check that out too.
That's an awesome show.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of description in that too, I think, because it's weird as hell.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
And what do you think? Have they done a good job of translating the book?
They've done a fantastic job of translating the book. I'm really incredibly pleased. You know, right from the casting on down, you know, when you have a book that's got like a half black protagonist, you're almost guaranteed that they're going to cast somebody like Tom Hanks in the role or something, you know. But I can't remember the guy's name. He was in the 100 before he was in this, but he's the perfect pick for Shadow Moon.
Huh.
Yeah. And Mr. Wednesday is awesome, and yeah, I can't say enough about the show. It's fantastic.
I will check it out.
There you go.
And if you haven't read the book, American Gods by Neil Gaiman, fabulous.
I think it's available on Audible as well.
It is, yeah.
I might buy it from Audible too, because I'm an Audible subscriber too.
Yeah, I think virtually all of his books are on Audible, and I don't think he's had a stinker yet.
No.
There you go, Ryan. You should Twitter bomb Neil Gaiman's Twitter feed and see if he can get us in the next dedication.
You want him on the show?
Yeah,
let's get him on the show.
That'd be awesome.
We'll get him on the show.
Yeah.
I'll work on that.
Yeah, maybe we should just start going after anybody. Like, forget the whole...
Haven't we?
It's just like next on AT Banter, Neil Gaiman.
That's right.
Yeah.
Stephen King.
We'll ask him his opinion about Jaws.
Dean Koontz.
Tell him to bring his wife, Amanda Palmer. She's a musician, performance artist.
Whose wife?
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman?
Yeah.
Is she American? No, I don't think.
I think she's British. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
to be honest.
probably.
Yeah.
Okay, we're being sidetracked. Okay. Anyways, so Rob, what are we doing today?
Today we are interviewing Quentin Christensen, I believe is his last name.
Yes, you are correct.
Who works for and with NVDA, the open source screen reader for the blind.
Well, Quentin Christensen has taught adaptive technology computer skills. He's authored several books on the subject, and he is currently working with the team at NVDA, writing training modules and serving as technical support for the popular screen reader. Quentin, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's good to be on.
So tell us a little bit about your background in the accessibility field and how you got into it.
Yeah, sure. I started off working for, I started off working for one of our blindness agencies here. I had a friend who worked there, and she just invited me to fill in for a couple of weeks, essentially. So I did that, and then stayed there for 12 years. I did teaching of clients with a number of software packages. So I got familiar with not only NVDA, but JAWS, ZoomText, Window Eyes, Magic, and others. So that was a great experience across all of the different programs. So then to come across to NV Access was really good, because I'd known Mick particularly, Michael Curran, through that work and also through other mutual friends. So so it's great to come on board and start working there as well. And
just for those people who are listening who may not be familiar with NVDA, can you kind of just explain what the software package is?
Yep, sure. So NVDA is another one of those acronyms like we all love in IT and in the industry. NVDA stands for Non-Visual Desktop Access. It was originally developed by Mick Curran and Jamie Tay in 2006, 2007. So we've just gone over 10 years old, or 11 years old now. It was developed as a free alternative to the expensive commercial programs, which the cost of which is out of reach for majority of people who are blind.
Specifically, how long have you been associated with NVDA?
I've been with NV Access for nearly 2 years now. Yeah, just about 2 years now. Initially, I'd written a book sort of under my own name on Windows 10 when it had first, or just before it first came out. And I approached Mick about making an NVDA version of or NVDA specific version of the book. and he said, well, actually, it's funny you should ask. We're looking for someone to write training material for us. And it went from there. So I came on board, and I've now written 3 modules for NV Access. I've written the basic training for NVDA, which walks you through from pretty much first starting the computer with NVDA through to some of the more advanced concepts like screen review, object navigation, configuration profiles, and then we got on to doing the Microsoft Word with NVDA, and I've just finished Microsoft Excel with NVDA.
So I guess I'm totally blind myself, and I have NVDA installed on my computer, but I've been a JAWS user for 20 years. So I guess I should really start with the basics of NVDA, because I haven't really wrapped my head around how it's different, other than it's got more cursors.
Yeah, that's right. It does. It works. A lot of it works very similarly, and so there are a lot of the basic commands like reading, and even reading the time, and just a lot of those basic reading commands are the same,
Right?
And you can use insert as your NVDA key like you can with JAWS. You can use caps lock. So a lot of the basics do come across, but then some of the advanced things like object navigation are done differently between screen readers. And that's one of the things that is good about having the choice, because some people prefer one way and some people prefer a different way. We do have some of our users, and one of the great things about having a really vibrant, active user base is that people are always interested in contributing and filling in gaps and making things that work with NVDA. Somebody has written, one of our contributors has written a guide to using NVDA for JAWS users, so if you're coming across. And they've also now done NVDA for Windows users who are interested in coming across as well.
Excellent. Yeah, it's definitely good resources that I've seen on your website for making that transition. So I just need to spend more time with it.
NVDA is different in that it's I don't want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Open source. Open source. There's the word I'm looking for. I was going to say freeware. That's not it. How much of the development of the product is done in-house versus by third parties contributing to the effort?
Certainly the majority of development is done by our in-house team. So we've only got 4 employees. We've got Mick, Karen, and Jamie Tay are the lead developers. So they're the ones who started the project. Reef Turner came on board a year and a bit ago, and he also does development. And there's myself as well. But no, we do definitely have an active development community. So pretty much all of the add-ons, for instance, that you can download for NVDA were written by the community. We have contributors who write code which then gets merged into the core of NVDA. So it's possible, sort of whatever your interest, if you've got a bit of skill, that you can contribute either to an add-on if you've got something that you really want to make, or if it's something that would benefit the majority of users, then definitely, it can make it into core. And so that's one of the really good things about being open source as well, is that the code's there, anybody can look at it, anybody can learn from it, anybody can contribute to it.
And tell us about the add-ons. What sort of add-ons do you have?
Yep, so we've got a whole range of add-ons which do a bunch of functions that perhaps aren't core to the screen reading experience, or some people would say they could be, and so sometimes add-ons do get moved into core. But we've got things like an OCR add-on where you can press a keystroke and have it run OCR on an image. that you're looking at, for instance, an image that's on the screen. We've got Focus Highlight is really popular with web developers and people who are working with sighted users because it highlights visually what is currently being read or what has focus on screen. There's one of our contributors particularly has written quite a bit of code and add-ons for some of the specific apps in Windows 10 and extended the functionality of NVDA in some of those built-in apps in Windows 10. So that's really good.
Let me ask you this then, because it's a pretty big gap between free and the price, say, of JAWS, which is, I think, upwards to $1,200, I think. And, especially given that there's all these accessibility features that are just being baked into a lot of the technology, like, smartphones and tablets. Do you think, in your opinion, are commercial screen readers, are their days numbered?
It's a really good question, and certainly the landscape is changing. People aren't necessarily as willing to fork out quite a lot of money for something that they, I would say, rightly perceive should be built into the product from scratch.
Right.
Whether the people who make those products put that effort in from the start is another issue entirely. But I think if you're making a product these days that you're selling, you really need to work a lot harder to sell that and to provide reasons why it needs to be, why you need to purchase it, why I should spend my hard-earned money on it. And particularly, as you say, with the accessibility, the base level accessibility of things like Windows 10, for instance, coming up to a much higher standard.
Right.
Which is fantastic. It's great that you can finally go out and you can buy a computer and set it up yourself without needing sighted assistance, as you can with a phone these days as well. So
right.
The whole landscape is changing, and it's interesting times.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just the attitude. The attitude is slowly beginning to change from, assistive technology being an add-on, or, you having to buy a completely separate software package in order to, be able to use your computer. More and more, it seems that assistive technology is just being included, at the foundational level.
Exactly. And that's a fantastic thing for users because, it does mean that you don't need to go out. Not only do you not need to spend extra, but it means that you can, as I said, you can get a product off the shelf and be able to set it up yourself. So you don't necessarily even need someone's help to do that, which is fantastic. It really increases, independence as well as decreasing the cost when you don't need to go out and buy something extra.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of user base do you guys have? Do you have a sense of, I don't know if you have to register the product or something, but do you have a sense of how many users you've got out there?
Conservatively, we say, I think it's around 80,000.
Wow.
Average users. But the number, we know the number is much higher than that. Basically what happens is the only tracking that we do really is when the product checks for updates. Then obviously it needs to ask our server, so we just make a note of that. And so from that, we can tell that, that's the number of unique users. But we know, for instance, that we're very popular in a lot of the developing markets, in a lot of countries where internet access may not be as reliable. So we know that we have a lot more users out there than that. But that's sort of the base number that we say.
And where does your revenue come from? Is it donations? We've
got a couple of streams of revenue. Obviously, the main revenue that we get is actually from working with corporate partners, people like Microsoft and Google and Amazon, for instance. We introduced in NVDA 2017.1 earlier this year the ability to work with Kindle, the latest Kindle for PC version. So that was a great result of that partnership there. So we do a lot of work like that, and that's where we get some of our income. We do get income from private donations, and we really appreciate our users who are able to contribute like that. We also now, with the training modules and the certification program that we're rolling out, we get a little bit of income from that. So, but yeah, that corporate partnerships is probably the big one for us.
And do you have ever any plans on, say, developing the software for, say, smartphones, like into an app or anything?
It's certainly something that we've looked at and are keeping an eye on. We haven't branched out that way yet. And one of the main reasons, actually, we did an in-process post on it recently. One of the issues we've found has been that operating systems like iOS, for instance, and Windows Mobile are locked down for security. So it's much harder to get, malware, for instance, that can really take over your entire device on iOS and on Windows Phone, which is great. But the flip side of that is it also makes it much harder for something like a third-party screen reader. We just don't have the access that we would need to give you the information that you need about what you're doing on the phone. And so the new Windows 10 S for educational institutions, for instance, we're still not sure about where that's going. The initial information that came out looked like it was going to be locked down for third-party developers, but we haven't seen it, so we don't know. Things like Android potentially is more open. There are third-party screen readers for Android, but at this stage we've been concentrating our efforts on Windows, on the main Windows platform.
There's a lot of patents that have been filed on screen readers over the years. Have you guys managed to avoid the slings and arrows of outrageous litigation?
So far we have. So hopefully, yep. So far we have. And I guess that's one of the things with being open source as well is that it would be harder for us to hide blatantly stealing something. And I mean, we're not interested in blatantly stealing things either. So we're interested in the best end user experience and improving that across the board. Even, having healthy competition in the industry is good for everybody. It's good for users and it's good for us because it keeps all of us fresh and working on new ideas.
Right.
So what languages does NVDA support?
We support, I should have had this in front of me. Let's see.
We support a shitload.
That's exactly how many we support.
You can say that.
I think it's up towards 50 now. It might be 50 that we've got. And
that's using the Eloquence and the vocalizer stuff from Code Factory, right?
That doesn't come built in,
right?
But definitely you can get Eloquence. So that's been Eloquence and vocalizer from Code Factory have been something that I think has encouraged a lot of people and perhaps a lot of JAWS users who are familiar with Eloquence and quite like it. So they're available. There are other third-party voices available as well, and actually, one thing we're just starting to roll out now in our test builds is support for Microsoft's new one-core voices, which come with Windows 10.
Okay. I'll have to take a listen to those.
Could you? I don't know anything about the new voices. Could you kind of walk us through a little bit of that?
There's there's some more voices. Microsoft have included SAPI 5 voices, Microsoft Speech API version 5 voices for a while now. Microsoft Anna from Windows 7 was probably the first really big popular one that they had, because she actually sounded vaguely nice. She didn't sound like just a robot. So they expanded on that with a couple of new voices in Windows 8. And also it depends on exactly what language you're using as well.
Right.
What they've done now in Windows 10 is they've introduced some new voices, which you can get to. In Windows 10, they've put in some new voices, which are the one-core voices. And one of the big things that they can do as well is that they can read a lot faster without breaking up, which is the problem that you get with a lot of the more natural-sounding voices, is that they sound great at slow speed, but you can't speed them up. If you speed them up too much, they break up. So
Right.
That's one of the problems that Microsoft have tried to address with these new voices. So it's great that we're able to offer support for these as well now. And it could be, and certainly it could be something that we might look at making more of a default for users who have that in the future, because I know eSpeak that we use, eSpeak NG, as our default voice. One of the first things that a lot of people say when they hear it is, oh, I don't like that voice.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We know a lot of people don't like that voice, but you can change it. You've always been able to change it, and so not everyone has realized that. But if we can offer something that sounds a little bit better out of the box, then that will be better again.
Right. And what is Braille support like?
Braille support is constantly improving, and I think it's one of those things that if you have a Braille device that we support, then you'll go, yes, that's great, it works fine. And if you have a Braille device that we don't happen to support, then you go, oh, Braille support's terrible. So we are constantly trying to increase the number of Braille devices that we support, and the support that we provide for those devices. I know we've seen a few announcements and teasers lately about things like Braille tablets and multi-line
Right.
Braille devices, which look really exciting, and we're as excited about them as you are. But I can't give you an answer on whether we'll support them until we actually have one in our hot little hands to play with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely, it's something we are very interested in supporting once we do get them and once they are available.
So just talking about NVDA for a moment, who's the product for mainly? Now, I know that JAWS is sort of touted as, sort of the leader, and it, goes very deep into all kinds of things that you can do with it. Is NVDA sort of more aimed at sort of the casual PC user?
I would say that actually there's...
Fire away.
Go ahead. Both barrels.
No, I would say that actually you can do pretty much everything with NVDA as well. And a lot of people don't realize, they think, oh yeah, JAWS, I need to use JAWS because I need to use scripting. But with the add-on capabilities of NVDA, you can write an add-on that will make NVDA support your in-house client management system or whatever software it is that you need, that you thought you would need to get a JAWS scripter for. You can get somebody to write an NVDA add-on for that. Our Office support, I know, is something that perhaps has been listed as something that you might look at alternatives for. And certainly our Office support has increased quite a lot over the last couple of years. And actually that was one of the things that I really found as a great benefit in writing our Microsoft Word with NVDA training material that I hadn't necessarily expected was in going through that and in looking at all of the features of Word, sort of systematically going through, it uncovered a lot of issues, and I'll admit there were issues both with Word itself in things that we needed to try and get Microsoft on board to work on, and things that were there in Word that we needed to support better. So, and if you look at the, what's new for the last few versions of NVDA, there's been quite a lot of increase in support for various Word and Excel and Office features, and that's partly been as a direct result of that. So that's been a great outcome for our users, even if you're not interested in that material as such.
So, it's funny. I mean, it sounds like almost the price point almost works against you on an intuitive level, because someone will look at, NVDA and go, well, this is free. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I've got JAWS, it's $1,200. And just, intuitively, you'd go, well, I guess JAWS must do a bunch of stuff that the free one, the free one can't possibly do everything that the $1,200 version can do. But I think what you're saying is that, yeah, we can.
Exactly. It's really hard, because you do look and you go, yeah, if I've got product A that's free and product B that costs $1,200, well, clearly product B must be doing something that the other one isn't. And yeah, I would definitely say that's not necessarily the case. It's definitely it's the way that we've approached that, and the amount of work that we've done, that Mick and Jamie have done to build a model that works and enables the end product to be free for users has been phenomenal. So, and one of the really big successes that we've had is, as I mentioned earlier, the number of users in developing countries, in countries who just wouldn't be able to afford a $1,200 screen reader, that now have access to computers because of that. So it's, that in itself sort of makes it so rewarding.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I would even argue that I don't even know what segment of the population would actually find that a $1,200 product is affordable. I mean, when you consider that, you're buying a computer, that's probably $1,200 in and of itself, and then you have to spend another $1,200 on a screen reader just to be able to use it. I mean, I think that from my perspective, I mean, that's probably where products like JAWS, they've been lucky enough to be in that position where they have been able to do that for years and years, because that was the only option. But those days are kind of over for them.
Well, they're dwindling at any rate. But I think there's a lot of people who are invested in JAWS, who have gone and, they've spent the money, and now they're just maintaining it. It's a couple $100 to get your software maintenance agreement or to do an upgrade each year.
Right.
And they don't want to let it go because they know that they spent that money. It's like, well, if I suddenly switch to a free screen reader, yeah, maybe it'll do everything I need it to do, but then I'm just giving up on that $1,200 that I shelled out 4 years ago. That. So I think it's maybe a psychological barrier as much as anything.
Well, I was just going to say, because I have been a JAWS user for 20 years and I renew my software maintenance agreement every time it comes up for renewal, I think it is psychological. Just hearing you, Quentin, say that you guys do work with Microsoft and try to get enhancements into NVDA or give Microsoft, important feedback on how they can change accessibility so that, you guys work well together, kind of changes my opinion of, do I really need to renew my SMA for JAWS every couple of years, or can I actually make the switch to NVDA and still do everything I need to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing to consider as well, if you're a JAWS user and you're really enjoying using JAWS and it does what you need, then fine, that's great. there's also nothing stopping you from having NVDA available for times when you come across something that perhaps just doesn't read as well as you want in JAWS, or perhaps doesn't read as well in perhaps a particular browser. We would definitely recommend having, several browsers. Many people do have several browsers because there are just some websites that just don't work on one. They really work best in, Chrome, and some just really work best in Firefox. So for the same reason, it can be worth, having access to that second screen reader, and it won't cost you anything.
One huge advantage I find to having NVDA is you guys have the ability to make a portable copy, which I can throw on a thumb drive and take to any other computer. Whereas with JAWS, I have to install video intercepts first and have somebody site to do that for me. It's just a really nice option.
Exactly. So you don't have any problems with licensing, with getting access to the administrator account on a computer to be able to use NVDA. And yes, you can set it up on a portable drive, on a thumb drive, and take it down to the library and use it there, for instance.
No 29,000 character authorization code?
That's right.
That's right.
But I also don't think it can be overstated the importance of the fact that the community is involved in building it, with it being an open source program.
It is. It's so great to have such an active community. And one of the things that we've just had a couple of weeks ago, actually, was NVDA Con, and a virtual online conference of NVDA users, which was not set up by us. It was set up by users. And it's a weekend to get together, and there's various talks, keynote. We do a keynote presentation, and there are other conversations and presentations about different aspects, both from development point of view and also for users. So it's fantastic to see that and know that that's something that's by users. We obviously as the organisation we definitely support it, but it wasn't set up by us, and it's not something that we run. So that's really rewarding to see.
Are there people cosplaying you? All right. You know what? Let's switch gears a little bit, and let's talk a little bit about Microsoft, because I'm a little curious about your opinion on a few things. Because you've written a few books about Windows 10, from what I understand, right?
Mm-hmm, yes. Yep.
So what's your take on the direction that Microsoft Accessibility has gone in, say, the past 2-3 years since Windows 10?
Microsoft as a whole have become a lot more open and communicative. That's the word. Microsoft as a whole have become a lot more open and communicative with Windows 10 and with where they're going now. So even just before we get to accessibility, things like, it used to be that before Windows 7 came out, there was a test build that you could look at as a developer and get a feel for how it was going to work, so you could make your software work with it. But that wasn't available once the final software shipped. With Windows 10, what they did was they created the Windows Insider program, and you could download the beta version of Windows 10, which they then updated. And even once the final version shipped, that Insider program has continued and still exists. So you can still download that beta version of Windows to see the latest features that they're adding. And that's the other change too, of course, is that you don't necessarily need to wait for, Service Pack 1, and then that's about it. Then you need to wait for Windows 11 for any new features. What they're doing is, as well as shipping regular security updates that we're all used to, they are implementing new features in regular updates as they come down the line. So that, actually, just as a trainer, that is a little bit exciting, because it means that I know if I teach someone how to use Windows 10, then once they've got the hang of it and get used to subtle changes as they happen down the track, then when they go down and buy a new computer in, 4 or 5 years' time, it should look pretty much exactly the same and behave pretty much exactly the same as the one they've just got rid of, right. Only faster, hopefully. In terms of accessibility, they have been quite good at discussing ideas and taking feedback from us and from the other AT vendors. They had a session where we all get together and look at things and toss around ideas. So that's really good. Obviously the direction they're moving, things like narrator, bringing in a lot more functionality, making it usable out of the box is really good for end users, and it is something that's also enabled them to make some of the other tweak some of their other APIs and interfaces. That helps us as well. So it's look, we're cautiously optimistic about things with Microsoft. We actually put out another post recently on where things are at with Edge, the new browser that came with Windows 10.
Right. Wait, the 2-year-old browser that came with Windows 10 that nobody works with yet.
Yeah. And so there was justifiably a lot of criticism of Microsoft for shipping that when it was pretty much completely inaccessible at launch. Mm-hmm. Right. They have made a lot of steps to improve that, and it's something that's still being worked on, and they are really keen to make it and to learn from that experience and to make it something that can be a viable browser for screen reader users, and ideally from their point of view, they'd like to see it as the preferred browser for screen reader users.
Sure.
And from our point of view, we're happy to see another viable good browser option for people.
Well, you have to give Microsoft a bit of credit, because I really feel like they learned a valuable lesson with Windows 8. And they have kind of turned it around with Windows 10. They got so much flack, and Windows 8 was such a hated change. They adapted and they listened to the community, and Windows 10, I think, is probably the best Windows-based operating system since...
I'd say it's definitely more stable than anything that they've had out in the past. I've had... Well, I've got one computer that crashes constantly with Windows 10 on it, but I'm 100% certain now that that's because a fan has died on the inside and it's just overheating. But every other computer that I've got that's got Windows 10 on it is just rock solid.
Yep.
And it's not like you've got to reboot it every day. You can leave it, for, weeks at a time and never have to reboot your computer. So it's it does seem to be pretty solid. But, I wonder how much of the Windows 8 hatred was just because they made wholesale changes to the user interface. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of them carried over into Windows 10, but by then people were used to them.
I don't know. I think that, I'm sure that was a lot of the origin of a lot of the hate, but I think that was, I don't know, that was well-deserved. I think that you can't just, switch the interface like that and make it so incredibly different than the previous version without, taking a lot of flack. And I don't think that was a good idea. I don't think anybody who would look back on that would say that was a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. I it's interesting talking to people who are relatively new to using computers, because having been using a computer for, 20 or 30 years, it's easy to look at, something like Windows 8 when it comes out and go, oh, it's different, I hate it. But to see somebody new using something and see the experience that they have can be quite eye-opening as well. Perhaps not so much with Windows 8. I think I was thinking they're more of, say, Office 2007, when they ditched the menus and got brought in the ribbon.
Yeah.
They got a lot of flack for that, and a lot of people hated that.
Yeah.
A lot of people still aren't used to it and don't like it. And yeah, Windows 8 was the same, and perhaps particularly because they tried to get into that, tablet market and bring in something that would work really well on a touch screen.
That's right.
Neglected to keep their existing core, PC market going as well. So yeah, but no, Windows 10 definitely, I would agree, is very stable, is quite solid, works really well. There are things that, obviously, like we were just talking about with Edge, there are things that they're still improving, and the UWP apps, the modern apps are still things that are getting there, but is certainly conceptually a good idea.
So where does NVDA go from here? Do you just keep charging down the line and expanding your supported software?
Do you get a lot of suggestions from users?
Definitely, we get a lot of suggestions from users, and yeah, working with a lot of other companies as well. So things like Amazon with Kindle, and all the work that we've done on Chrome and Firefox and things like that, and definitely just keeping an eye on where the market as a whole is going, where Microsoft with all of their new hardware offerings are going, and we've got other little projects as well. So Osara for Reaper is one of the ones that we've really been working on for a little while. And Mick has the audio screen add-on for NVDA as well, which is one where you can...
I was just going to say, because I downloaded Osara a couple of weeks ago, but what's the audio screen?
Audio screen is one designed for touchscreens, where you can run your fingers across your touchscreen across, say, an image on that, and get audio feedback on that image, so you can feel, hear the image.
Really?
It's hard to describe it. I should have set up a demo, but I didn't.
What was the first one that you mentioned? The
Osara.
Osara? What's Osara?
Osara. So Reaper is a audio editing software. Oh. And Osara is an add-on which makes that really accessible.
Yeah, kind of like scripts for JAWS.
Okay.
But add-ons are for NVDA, and Osara is an add-on.
Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Now, how difficult is it to write an add-on? Do you have to have a programming background?
Perhaps, it's perhaps a little bit more technical than, or at a base level, it's perhaps a little bit more technical to get started than say, a simple script. But the advantage of that is that you can do quite a lot more with it. You can do quite a lot with add-ons. You can basically program whatever you like with them. So if you've got a little bit of a programming background, and particularly if you're familiar with Python, then it's certainly something that's doable. We've got a developer guide to help with that as well. So there's resources available, and there's a developers mailing list, and there's a lot of great people in the community who are really keen to help people and share their knowledge of writing add-ons as well. So it's a great little sub-community that we've got there.
So you guys have like multiple email lists where users can join and follow along?
We do. The main one is the NVDA users list, which is on groups.io, and I can't remember exactly how many users we've got, but it's an active email list where you can ask questions, share tips, discuss features, ideas, things like that. And the NVDA developers list is also, for talking about development and writing add-ons and the more technical programming side of that. The other big online presence that we've got is our GitHub site. So people familiar with software development would know GitHub, which is where you can. GitHub is a site where you can share issues with us. So if you come across something that doesn't work in NVDA or something NVDA can't do with, Word, for instance, then you can write an issue and we'll follow up on that and hopefully get a fix and get it into an upcoming build of NVDA.
Well, and I noticed that you guys do release updates fairly frequently. Do those include new features, or are they mainly bug fixes?
No, definitely they include new features. We've got 4 main releases that we aim for each year. So we've just brought out NVDA 2017.2. We also have, if you're interested in the beta versions of the software, we have publicly available snapshot builds, which are master, which are like our beta versions, and next, which are our alpha versions, if you like. So the support, for instance, that we were talking about for the one-core voices has been in next for a couple of weeks now, and it's just making its way over to master. So if you download the latest master build, you should have that just about now. We've also changed some of the sounds. So the sound that you get when you start NVDA or when you go into focus mode on a website, we've changed those. So they're making their way through there. So also great to get feedback on those and what works and what doesn't work, even if so things like the sounds probably shouldn't cause any crashes or anything like that. But if you don't like them, then let us know. Or if you do like them, let us know.
Right.
Well, that sort of leads into the next question, which is anybody out there who wants to look into NVDA and see if it works for them, where can they find you on the web?
Okay, so our website is nvaccess.org, NVACCESS.org. And you can download NVDA. From there, you can get to the help. The user guide is available there. You can get to the email lists from there. We're actually working on a new website. It's not available yet, but it is something that's in the works. So that will be probably later this year. But definitely you can get to anything from there. If you do come across something, or if you do just have a question that you want to ask, you can email us at info@nvaccess.org.
Fantastic. Well, we just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day and talking with us.
And I'm sure I'll have lots of questions, and I have your contact information now, so look out.
You're welcome. Do get in touch with us. Do join in the email lists and submit issues. And our probably the only other thing I hadn't mentioned was our certification that we have available now. Our certification is an online exam that you can take to show your knowledge of the NVDA screen reader. It's free to take, but you can also purchase a certificate and listing on our certification page, which we've also just added by popular request, the ability that you can put your contact details on there as well. So it's starting to become a list of experts that you can contact directly if you would like some more, to work with somebody one-on-one, as well as our own help that we've got that you can get from our shop too.
Thanks again for joining us, and we really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
All right, take care, and we'll see you at next year's con. I'm going to start working on my costume tonight. I can tell you, we've got the same hairline, so it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, you and I can both cosplay Quentin.
We totally.
Yeah.
We've all got that hair gene going.
That's it. The other guys do have a bit more hair though. So anyone with more hair?
Yeah, Ryan's got a full head.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna have to slim down though if he's gonna cosplay one of those guys.
We'll start training.
All right.
All right. Thanks again, Quentin, and take care.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
That was cool.
Yeah, I thought so. It brought to light some things that a lot of people may not know NVDA can do or is capable of.
You know, I have to say, I mean, it just amazes me that there's a product like this out that's free, and you know, JAWS is still $1,200. I mean, how?
I think what scares a lot of people is that it's open source, and I don't know how much government agencies and IT people like using open source products.
They won't.
Yeah.
They're just plain and simple. I don't think you're even allowed to in most government installations to use
Has to be
open source
certified
software.
yeah.
So really, I mean, the future of something like JAWS might not be in the home. It might strictly be for companies.
Yeah, could be.
And agencies, right?
Could be, which is good because it gives them, you know, a niche that they'll be able to continue to operate within, even though there may be a product out there that's as good or maybe even better one day, that's completely free.
Well, I've often said in the past too, you know, I probably use 80% or 20% of what JAWS is capable of doing.
Yeah.
You know, there's things in there I will never ever use nor need to use. But
yeah, and I mean,
they're there. Yeah.
I mean, I certainly don't want to sound like we're hating on JAWS or anything.
No,
I mean,
it's my go-to screen reader.
Yeah, and obviously it's been a mainstay for many, many years, but I don't know, what kind of surprises me is just their sort of unwillingness to change, and to bring the price point of the product down.
Well, they have in the U.S. Every time you go to the conferences, NFB and ACB, they seem to be having promos where you can buy a license of JAWS for like $100.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So they do, but once these shows are over and you call to buy a product, it's $1,200.
Yeah.
You know,
and
so I don't know why they can't just lower the price for everybody all the time.
Yeah, I can't see them being able to continue at that price point for much longer. I mean, you know, especially when you consider the fact that, you know, NVDA is free, the fact that, you know, narrator and talkback and voiceover
Are all
baked in and getting better and better with every update. It's just going to reach the point where the idea of this add-on screen reader you're just not going to need it.
Unless you're in an employment situation and you need to have something like JAWS.
Yeah, and I got to disagree because in order to do away with a third-party screen reader, everything else has to be accessible. Everything. And that's just very, very unlikely to happen anytime soon. You know, it's getting better, but there's still going to be software packages out there that are going to be
that need to be scripted,
ham-fisted together by some programmer who doesn't follow the slightest accessibility guidelines.
Right.
Yeah. Well, time will tell.
Look how long it's taken to finally have Adobe Flash die.
Oh yeah.
You know, so
is it officially dead?
Yeah, it's pretty much
dead. Everything's going to HTML5 or has already. There's still Flash out there, but not like it used to be.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4. Which is the play button? I hate Flash.
Yeah.
I hate captchas too.
Oh, captures are
Captchas have to die.
You know what? It's not even a blindness thing. Everybody hates captions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Excellent.
Yeah.
No, they need to go.
If you're out there and you like captchas, please write us a letter so we can mock you.
But first you have to fill out a CAPTCHA to make sure that you're not a robot. Hey, Ryan.
Rob.
Where can people find us?
People can find us online at www.atbanter.com.
And they can also email us at atbanterpodcast@gmail.com. And where else can they find us, Steve?
Well, they can find us on the Facebooks, the Tweetsers, and the Candygram.
Candygram.
Candygram? No,
Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. Okay. And I saw something about YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is we're working on it.
He's alive.
And big
alive and
news,
going.
you can
Yes.
also find us now on Google Play Music.
Oh, hey.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Yeah, that's right. That's a funny story about that. We actually thought we were on Google Play
Yes,
Music
we
for the
did.
past year, but
But Ryan's dropped the ball.
yeah, well, what is it? You just didn't click through one button or something, or
I didn't click the publish button, so
Oh,
they
right.
went through, published it, but then we had to go through and change all the RSS feeds, and just so it wasn't reflecting the old company.
yeah.
So,
But hey,
it's done.
it's okay. It's all water under the bridge.
Yep.
Now we are officially Google Play Musicized.
We are.
Great. What do we got going on next week, Ryan?
Next week, we have a host of Cool Blind Tech joining us, which is another AT podcast.
Actually, and a very good AT podcast.
Yeah,
I
they
have
do
to
a lot
say.
of shows.
And they're a really good news site. I mean, we've got them in their Twitter feed, and it's pretty amazing. They're really on top of things.
Yep.
So yeah, that's cool. Who are we talking to from there?
Jessica Rivers, I believe, is her last name.
Is she one of the
It's one of the hosts.
hosts?
Yeah.
Very cool. Where are they based out of?
I noticed her signature. She's out of Edmonton.
Really?
I don't know where the rest of them are, but she's in Edmonton.
Huh. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Small world.
Well, that'll be cool. It's always nice to talk to fellow podcasters.
It will be.
So, well, stay tuned for that next week. Otherwise, I think that is going to about do it for us today. I have been Rob Minot.
You are Rob Minot.
No, I have been. After this podcast, I'm transitioning into
Are ya?
something else. So
All right.
He's going to be a butterfly.
I'm evolving.
Flutterby.
So if you're Rob Minot, that probably makes me Steve Barclay.
And I would be Ryan Fleury.
Oh, see, it's all fitting together.
How about that?
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Welcome to year 2, and we will see everybody next week.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canasstech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com. Or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840 or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com. Music provided by bensound.com.